Okay, today we're talking about changing general form into factored form. So I want to start with, this is a good review. We did this on Friday. You may have forgotten it already. But vertex form to factored form. Vertex form looks like this. Y equals, and then it's something like this, and then you go like this. This would be if the vertex was at -3, -9. Okay? Well, this one's vertex is not at -3, -9. So you figure out what the equation is for that vertex form. And in a moment, I'm going to tell everybody in class here who they're showing it to. So I'm going to pause while I'm doing that. Show it to your partner that I paired you up with. And if they're quickly scribbling a number in front of theirs because they saw yours, you'll know, oh, they didn't catch it and you did. All right. See, that's the mistake I made last hour. I caught it before the end, but I didn't catch it right away. I didn't catch that this has been stretched. See, normally it should be there, and it's up there. It's twice as tall. It should be a 2 in front. And then you can use the vertex, which is at -1, -2, and you go +1 and -2. The other mistake is sometimes people have a negative in there, but remember, it's always the opposite. It's counterintuitive on the inside. Okay, so any questions about vertex form? Okay, that's vertex form. Now general form. Generally, you can just multiply this thing out, but there's a much faster and smarter way to get factored form. You look at these two spots. Everybody see if you can write me factored form, which of course looks like that, for this one. And in a moment, I'll have you show it to somebody else. All right, so I hope you kind of had a chance to argue it out. Do you think the 2 is important on this one? Should there be a 2 up in front or not? There should be a 2 up in front. Because, here's why. If you multiply this one out, do you get it's going to have a 2 in front? So if you take this one without the 2, and you said x plus 2 and x plus 0, and you didn't have the 2, you get how it could never be equal to that one? All right, and we want so that when they both multiply it out all the way, that they come out to the same general form. Yes?
So you do have to have the plus 0.
Good question. Do you have to have the plus 0? No, because x and x plus 0 are identical. I'd be fine with that. And in fact, since the 2 and the x both are like solo terms, if you want to just say 2x in front and then x plus 2, that'd be just fine too. But they're both right. I'm just saying that you could simplify it that way. All right, good. Let's move on to this one. I just want to know, is it in factored, general, or vertex form? So put an F, G, or a V next to each one. F, G, or V. I'll give you a hint. This first one's a G, number 1. For sure a G. I'll pause while you try. Okay, so here's our decisions on what was factored versus vertex versus general. And this last one, it appears to us, is both vertex form and general form because number 10 had been multiplied all the way out, so it would be general form too. All right, moving on. This is where you just FOIL it out. First, outside, inside, last. To be honest, I feel like it's too easy for you. We've already been doing that enough. So this is just a slide that's showing you the official general formula. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Notice it's got a, b, and c. That's one of the good things about general form, is it's got a, b, and c, so you could do the quadratic formula on it. All right, and over here, that's factored form. And what's the a in the factored form there? Stretch. Or shrink, yes. The stretch or shrink factor. Good. All right, moving on. This one, if you're converting from the one to the other, all you have to do is factor it. That's it. You're just factoring them. How do you get that A number in front? That's if there's a G what? If you're factoring it out and there's something special, there'll be a stretch factor in front. Greatest common factor. Very good. All right, so let's move on to actually factor one. This one, why am I going to start? For those that are not good at factoring yet, I need them to see this. Factors of 18 is how you multiply and get negative 18. So it's 6 times 3, except one of them needs to be negative. So it could be that, or it could be that. What else can make an 18? Yes, sir? 9 and 2. Make this one negative and make that one negative. Good. Now what else? Say it. 18 and 1. So I have 18, 1 and 18. And I'm going to make it, one of them's positive here, one's negative, and make it negative 1 and positive 18. There we go. All right, so all these combos are the ones that are possible for doing our problem. Now let's do their sum. These add up to, no it doesn't, 6 minus 3 is 3. This one's negative 3. This one's 7. This one's negative 7. This one's negative 17. And that one is positive 17. Do you get, by looking at this problem, which one has to be the right answer? The one that has a sum of 7, because that's the middle term. All right, so that's this one right here. So that means the factors must be x minus 9 and x plus 2, or is it x plus 2 and x minus 9? Well, I can tell by doing the outside and the inside, and that would make negative 7x, and I want positive 7x. So, no, this means you use x plus 9, a positive 9, and you use a negative 2. All right, now that's just another way to explain it in case you haven't caught factoring yet. I'd like you to just do a connect the dots deal, like I think this one's that, or whatever. Just match it up. Figure out which one goes with which one. If I were you, I'd be probably thinking about foiling out the yellow ones, because that's how you can tell which one goes with which one. Quickly, match them up. I want you to check with somebody else in a minute, not yet. You already done? All you have to do is multiply them out and then connect the dots. Now, if I said it was this way, let's say I was the kid across from me and I say it's this way, and you say it's not that way. How could you prove I'm wrong? Because I am wrong. How could you prove I'm wrong? Yes, sir. How could you prove it, though? If you what? It is factored out. I'd say I did factor it out. It's factored to this and this. How can you prove I'm wrong, though? Yes. If you FOIL at this one, first, outside, inside makes negative 2x, and last makes negative 8. I'd say, yeah, see, I did it. What's wrong about it? Yeah, it's supposed to be a positive 2. I got a negative 2. All right, good. So your final answer should be that those last two are reversed. Like that. Raise your hand if you had that right. Okay, good. And there's another one like that, but I think we've got enough practice on that. This is just plain old factor it. It says it in a complicated way. Convert the following from general form to factored form. You're just factoring it. Go ahead, factor it out. And don't forget to say y equals. You always start with an x and an x, and then you always take numbers that multiply to 4. So I could do a 2 and a 2, but if I do a 2 and a 2, outside and the inside make 4. That's not 5. So 2 and 2 are never going to work. I can rearrange them. It still won't work, of course. So you realize it's a 4 and a 1. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, good. Moving on to the next one. What's different about it? It's got a negative term in the middle. That means you have to have a negative somewhere in your answer. X and X, and it can't, let's see, it can't be positive 1 and positive 4 because you need a negative somewhere. But if you just put a negative on one of them, then you'll have a negative times a positive, and that won't equal a positive. So I have to have them both be negative. And then how do I tell if I'm right? It's the F word, which is FOIL. Just FOIL it out. All right, and the outside and the inside then make negative 5x. Yay, it worked. All right, that's factoring in a nutshell for those that didn't catch it before. Let's just do 2 more really quick here. If you're good at factoring, these should take you 15 seconds each. I'm going to pause for a second while you're trying that. When you're done, I want you to turn and show the person next to you and see if they agree with you. Okay, x plus 4 and what? X minus 1. I'm going to check you quick. First, x squared. Outside, inside makes positive 3x. Last makes negative 4. See, I can know you're right by checking it that way. Good job. And you call on anybody else in the room to get the other one. All right.
Y equals x plus 3, x minus 4.
If I said prove you're right, what would you do? No, it's factored out. FOIL it out. Yes, you had a different F word. Okay, so this is x squared. Outside, inside makes negative x. Last to make negative 12. You are correct. Raise your hand if you had those correct. All right, some of you aren't raising your hand. All right, good. Then let's move on. What to do when you don't have the lead coefficient be 1? That's a 3. Well, then it's likely that a 3 factors out of everything, but not always. If all the numbers are generally big, then you know you're probably onto something that 3 goes into everything. Go ahead and find the GCF and factor these. Except for on number 3, make sure you factor out a negative 2. It's really common for people to see, oh, 2 goes into everything. Use a negative 2 to factor out. Go ahead, factor those down. I'll pause for a second while you try it. Okay, it's going to be row 1. Last person. All right. Just give me number 1. Yep. Hold on just a second. I'm just going to do this first. Plus 6x plus 8, because a lot of people don't know what happens if you do it all at once. I took a 3 out of everything. I divided everything by 3. And did you do something wrong then? All right. Once you get a 3 out of everything, who's got it from there? Who can finish this puppy? Yes, me. Yes, ma'am. I can double check that. Outside, inside, do they make positive 6? Yes, they do. And the last make 8. So you got it. 3, x plus 2, x plus 4. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Awesome. And this takes a while to multiply back out. But if I were you, I'd just multiply this one back out to make sure it equals that one. Then you probably got it. Okay, this next one. What comes out of both of them, Mr. T? 4 does. And you have x squared minus 3x. There's something else that should have come out of both of them. Not just 4, 4x. Yes, sir. So tell me the answer, Mr. D, in the back row. Yep, 4x comes out first. And then what do I have? X minus 3. You got it. Now, do you get how that's factored form? Because this times that makes that. And now I got 2 answers. That one's 3. And that one would be, how do we make 4x equal to 0? If x equals 0. So there's 2 answers for this. X equals 3 and x equals 4. No, 0. Sorry. Because you're trying to make this equal 0 and that equals 0. But you didn't need those because that's a more advanced. That's to get the answers. Factored form was that. Did anybody have that one right? Only 3 people. All right. I figured that would be a harder one because it's just different. 4x came out of both of them. All right, this next one, negative 2 came out of everything, and you should have had x squared plus 5x minus 6. How many of you knew to get that far? All right, good. Mr. N, third seat back. What do you got? All right, I'm going to let you do it with me. How do I make a 6? 3 and 2 is probably a good option because I have a 5 here, so a 3 and a 2 probably will make a 5. See if you can finish it. Well, wait a minute though. -3 and -2, yeah, but then they make +6. So something's messed up about that. 3 and 2 probably isn't going to work. I misled you. So if it's not 3 and 2, then what? Wait a minute. Why doesn't that work? Because that and that make -5x, not +5x. All right, so I can't use those two. Now what? All right, now I'll double check it. Inside and outside makes 6x and -1 makes +5x. You've got it. Nice job. It's right there. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay. Now, that's factoring the hardest kind. So we're not going to play that game right now. We're just going to jump to the worksheet, which is factoring worksheet A. I granted probably could cut some out of this, but to be honest, I think the practice is good for you. Even though many of you are good at factoring, you can't be too good at factoring. We need you to be awesome at factoring. The faster you are, the better you are, because it's needed for like time tests like the top 20 and also the ACT tests are timed. Factoring is a big part of those. Okay, so that's all I have for the video for today.